Right now from Governor Greg Abbott to Transtar. Jeff Lindner speaking now.
I'm going to address the downstream flooding potential first. This is on Buffalo Bayou. Buffalo Bayou has fallen from the levels it was at yesterday, and it is currently holding steady. The releases that are currently coming out of Addicks and Barker are not expected to result in rises at this time on Buffalo Bayou. It's expected to hold steady. For the subdivisions that line the reservoir, I'm going to start with Barker. These are the neighborhoods that could potentially be impacted based on the current rainfall and the current forecast from the Army Corps of Engineers. We encourage those residents in these neighborhoods to pay very close attention to the changing conditions, and you should be preparing to leave your house at this time. Those subdivisions include the Green Trails Crossing, Green Trails Oaks, Green Trails Park, Green Trails Village, Highland Trails, Kellywood, Kellywood Gardens, Kellywood and Nottingham Country, Kingsland Estates, Lake Forest of Kellywood, Lakes of Buckingham, Kellywood, Park Lake Village, Park View at Barker Cypress, University Park West, West Green Park, Windsor Park Estates, and Windsor Park Lakes. These are the following subdivisions in the Addicks Reservoir watershed: Barker's Crossing, Bear Creek Estates, Bear Creek Village, Bear Creek West, Charlestown Colony, Clay Meadows, Concord Bridge, Concord Colony, Cypress Park, Eldridge Park, Estates at Cullen Park, Georgetown Colony, Glencairn Park, Jamestown Colony, Maid Creek Farms, Park Harbor Estates, Pine Forest Village, and the West Side Village, the West Side Business Park. The following neighborhoods that I'm going to list could be impacted in the event that water goes around the northern part of the Addicks spillway: Lakes on Eldridge, Lakes of Eldridge North, and Twin Lakes. So we're asking those residents in those areas to be paying attention. We have tried our best to capture all of the neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods are obviously large sections of area, so flooding could be different in different portions of these neighborhoods, but we've tried our best to get the most accurate information we have right now out to everybody. We understand this morning that we needed to get that, and we've been working on that. We're also working again with the West Gulf River Forecast Center to get us the best accurate information on the flows down Buffalo Bayou. And I want to repeat, on Buffalo Bayou, we are not expecting with the current releases to have an increase in the elevation of Buffalo Bayou. Any questions?
Is there any sense for areas that could flood, how much the inches mean?
So right now, the flooding will start shallow in the lowest areas, and it will gradually increase over time. Some of the lowest areas right now may already have a foot or a foot and a half of water. And as the reservoir rises, the lowest areas would get deeper, and the water will gradually spread into areas that have not flooded. So it's going to be the deepest the closer you are to the pool of the reservoir or the water behind the dams, and it will get shallower as you move further away from the reservoirs.
Should the roads around these areas be clear enough for them to drive out, or are there any recommended routes for people to take?
For the most part, the roads are clear in this area. There is issues further to the west when you get over towards Barker Cypress and west of that area, because we do have water coming out of Cypress Creek and flowing down into the Addicks Reservoir, so there's a lot of flooding that way. But generally speaking, north and west of these subdivisions, you should be able to move around. We have not had significant rainfall in the last couple of hours, so there shouldn't be large amounts of street flooding now. As you get closer to the reservoir, some of those streets are being impacted, and of course we do have some of those major roadways that run through the reservoir impacted and underwater. Highway 6, Eldridge, Clay, Westheimer Parkway, those are underwater and will be underwater for a while.
When do you recommend everyone get out by if they are wanting to?
Well, I would certainly recommend you do this while we still have daylight. You don't want to be trying to do this tonight and not being able. We don't recommend doing this after dark when the water could be coming up on some of the roadways. So we certainly recommend that you take the precautions this afternoon and complete everything before dark tonight.
Do you have the numbers for us on the number, how many residents could be potentially impacted on the different neighborhoods you listed?
I don't have any exact numbers at this time, but it is certainly well into the hundreds, if not thousands. Any other questions?
All these different neighborhoods you listed, have any of them already been impacted by flooding or storm from the tropical storm, or are these areas that have been dry?
Some of these locations have already experienced flooding and structure flooding from the rainfall itself that has occurred Saturday and Sunday. So yes, some of these have. That water has generally gone down, and now the water that you're seeing come up is from the level of the pool behind the dam.
Can you repeat again? I know you said this in the past. Why you need to do this for people who don't know?
Why we need to.
The releases.
Certainly. Both of the reservoir dams will ultimately reach a elevation whereby the water would potentially spill over the spillways of Addicks and Barker dams. That's an uncontrolled release. We prefer not to have an uncontrolled release. We prefer to use the outlet structures which we can regulate to discharge water at rates that we're able to determine, and in working closely with our partners to better understand that setting of the gates such that the discharges in this case are holding steady in the bayou right now. We would prefer not to let the water build up in the dam and go over the spillways, because at that point we do not have control over the water.
Any other questions?
Is this going to be it, or do you anticipate as more rain falls, you're going to have to do this down the road?
We will constantly be working with the Corps of Engineers, and they're actively looking at their modeling and to get the best forecast for the pool and the appropriate actions that need to be taken with the releases from the reservoir.
Is the worst over, or are you guys still fearful, even with that 10 inches of being downgraded, or could we see more flooding like we've experienced already?
If you are upstream of the reservoir, the worst is not over. The pool is continuing to rise, and so water is going to be inundating areas that have currently not been inundated. Right now, at this particular time, for those locations along Buffalo Bayou, downstream of the reservoirs, like we've said, the water is going to be holding steady. So it is not increasing and it is not really decreasing. It's holding steady. I don't want to say the worst is possibly over for Buffalo in case things change, and in case the rainfall increases, or in case we get into the situation where flow does end up going around the spillway. In that case, we would see changes on the impacts along Buffalo Bayou.
Well, not the releasing of the, are they potentially still going on at this moment?
Talk about releases.
Could you repeat that again? I'm
The
sorry.
releases from the reservoirs, are they still going on right now?
Yes, they are.
Is there a set time to when they're going to end?
The discharge, since the dams are full, the discharges could last 1 to 3 months to allow all that water to get out. We prefer to operate these structures as dry reservoirs so that they have maximum capacity to receive water during rain events. And so we would discharge until the structures are dry.
So that means there's going to be continuous in discharge?
Relatively continuous.
I think, given the attention that we have right now on both of these reservoirs, that we should probably plan to do another briefing later this afternoon, and we'll get those times to you as soon as we know. All right, thank you.
All right, you were just listening